Hello everyone. In this video, we want to look at how many salah are there in a day or a night, and what are the timing of those salah that we have to perform. So this is a very, very important Quranic conversation. I really encourage you to stay with me, and I'm hoping to finish this in one Quranic conversation, but I'm not sure if we can do it. We might have to do it in two conversations, two separate videos. But please stay with me because I think you will really benefit from watching this video and you will learn a lot, inshallah. So the first verse that we are going to look at is verse number 238 of chapter 2. This is a verse that I would call a key verse. This verse is very short. It has 3 parts, and each part tells you something very, very important about the salah. And you have to know all 3 parts in order to perform the salah correctly. So let's look at part 1. Part 1 tells us Hafizu ala salawat. It means safeguard or guard the salats. So I am salahs, or I put an S at the end, or salawat. So the question is, how many salah are there in a day? So the word used is salawat. Salawat, as you can see here, is used for how many? I'm pretty sure a lot of you know. It's used for 3 plus. So you have to have at least 3 salah in a day to qualify for using this grammatical structure. So jam' and mukathir. So you have to have at least 3 in them. So it could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 7, but at least 3. And we'll come back to that later. Part number 2 talks about Al-Salat Al-Wusta. Basically, it says guard the intermediate or moderate salah. This part is talking about how to recite salah. So let's say you know the number of salah, but how do you read the Quran? How do you recite while performing salah? That is actually really important. Do you do it with a loud voice? Do you do it quietly and secretly? So how do you do that? Or do you do part of it loud and parts of it quiet, as currently Muslims do, those who claim to be Muslims do? So that is very important to know. In fact, actually, Quran tells us and answers that question. It says you don't want to be loud and you don't want to be quiet. In fact, you want to seek a moderate or intermediate or in-between way, and that's As-Salat Al-Wusta, a salah that is intermediate. It's not too loud, it's not too quiet, it's intermediate. And there's a verse for that. I have a full video about As-Salat Al-Wusta. Please watch that. I will put the link down in description, and I will also put a link up there at the right hand corner, so you can actually watch that one. Now, number 3, that tells us to stand for Allah in an obedient manner. But this is really important because this qumu lillahi qanitin ties this verse back to another verse when it says aqumu lillahi and taqumu lillahi mathna wa furada, and that clarifies for us that verse that we actually have discussed in another video, and I will put the link down in description and up at the right hand corner, so you can see that describes to us that salah is always 2 units, and it can be shortened to 1 unit. So let's go back to number 1, Hafizu ala salawat. We did mention that salawat is used for 3 plus. I don't want to say anything. I just want to discuss something with you, to present something to you. As you can see, there's 3 scenarios possible. So more than 3. You can go up. This can go exponentially up. But the only scenario that is very specific and does not cause any confusion is scenario number 3, and that is if the number of salah in a day and night in a 24-hour period was 3. So that's only once the smallest number that is possible. And number 3 is a favorite number that Allah uses a lot in the Quran. I'll come back to it later. But I'm just guessing right now. I'm guessing it's 3. Now let's look at the Quranic verses to see if they also support that hypothesis. The first verse we are looking at is verse number 114 of chapter 11. It's a very important verse when it comes to Salah. It says, أَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ طَرَفَيَ النَّهَارِ. It says, stand the Salah at the two ends or two edges or the two sides of the day. وَزُلَفًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ. Let's not talk about زُلَفًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ. Let's focus on number 1 to begin with. So we are going to focus on number 1. What is طَرَفَيَ النَّهَارِ? In order to know that, you have to know nahar means daytime. So a nahar is daytime. So daytime must have two ends, right? So part number, what are these? So this is a day. I have explained this in another video, but this is a day. So the first part of the day is a period we call Fajr or Subh. And in this period, which lasts about an hour 20 minutes to about an hour 30 minutes, there is no sun. You have brightness, but you don't have any sun. Sun has not risen yet. And then you have the sunrise. So sunrise happens at around here. And as you can see, you have the sunrise. And then you have a period of full sun. What does Quran call that? I actually discussed that in another video when we were talking about Abraham. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسَ بَازِغَةً. When he saw the sun, بَازِغَةً. بَازِغَةً means when he saw the sun shining forth. This is a period of full sun. So what is happening? The sun is بَازِغَةً. It's shining forth. It's full sun. And then you have the second end of the nahar or day. What is the second end or second edge or second side, if you want to call it? Doesn't matter. Doesn't change anything. This is the reality of day and night. It's happening every day across the world. It's just you have to just go outside and see it with your own eyes. That's all you need to do. You don't need anything other than that. There's no scientific experiments. A day to day that's happening every day all over the world. So the second part, the second edge is when sun sets. So you have the sunset at this point. So you no longer have the sun. You still have a period of brightness outside, but there is no sun up until you hit the night and it becomes pitch dark. It becomes complete dark. And that lasts about an hour 20 minutes to an hour 30 minutes, give and take, depending on where you are. So it lasts something around there. So another thing that I want you to pay attention is that in the first edge of the day, during the first edge of the day, sun actually has no position. Sun is not even there. Sun is not in the picture. Literally, sun is not in the picture. Then sun's position is strengthened. So you have the sun rising. Sun's position is strengthening in a few seconds. Suddenly sun pops out. And now you have the sun بَازِغَةً, shining forth, as Abraham, as the Quran mentions that. So in this point, sun has a strong presence and a strong position. Now you hit the sunset, right? You suddenly see the sun becoming kind of weird looking and gradually going down and losing its position, losing its power. Sun becomes weak. And then in a few seconds or a few minutes, sun has no position at all, and you are in the time that Quran calls Isha. So the first part is Fajr or Subh, and the first edge or the first side is Fajr or Subh. The second edge or the second end is Isha. And then of course that first side or first edge or first end is when you do Salat al-Fajr. It means Salat of the time of Fajr. Quran also calls it Quran al-Fajr. It's because your Salah has to be from the Quran. You recite the Quran in your Salah. Quran al-Fajr. It means Quran of the time of Fajr. Like Salat of the time of Fajr and Quran of the time of Fajr. I explained this idafa in my previous video about Al-Salat Al-Wusta. So please watch that. I go through details, grammatical detail of this. And then at the tail end, the second edge or the second side of the day, that's when you do Salat al-Isha. It means Salat of the time of Isha. And that is, as Quran mentions, from Duluk Shams to the darkness of night. The Duluk Shams is when the sun is going down and starts looking weird, and I'm going to discuss that in another right now it's very shortly, so we are going to go over that up until Ghathaq al-Layl, darkness of the night. Okay, now let's look at part number 2. It says Zulafan min al-Layl. This part is easy. We just 2 edges of the day. Quran actually mentions those Salat al-Fajr, Salat al-Isha. It's easy, no question asked. You should not have any problem with that one. So Zulafan min al-Layl. What is Zulafan min al-Layl? People constantly ask me questions, several brothers, what is Zulafan min al-Layl? What I want you to consider is that first time, don't think about an-Nahar anymore. Nahar is over. Why? Data, as I mentioned, is here. Daytime is over because both ends, both sides and edges that we discussed, they're already spoken for. Finished. You remember I showed you that, right? Day is over. This is the picture I showed you, right? This is the first edge. This is the second edge. You don't have any room here anymore. So the Quran is not talking about this. This is done. This is over. Move on. Move on to the next. What is the next thing? Is the night. So only nighttime or al-Layl is left for discussion. So up for discussion is nighttime, al-Layl. So what is it? So let's dissect it. Zulafan min al-Layl. So let's look at min al-Layl. Min al-Layl means from the night, of the night. And Zulafan means approach. There are several verses in the Quran. You can look at it. It says the paradise is coming close, approaching, or the hour is approaching. It's quite well known what that means. So it means approach. So it's approach of the night. So early part, or basically approach of the night. So I want to ask you to do something. When you're looking at a car, stand in a street, or a bike, or a motorcycle, when they're coming, or a train, stand in front of it or watch a video. Don't stand in front of a train. Please do not do that. That's dangerous. But watch a video. There are videos of how a train is coming forward. Imagine that you're standing on the rail and the train is coming forward. So what do you see? When the train is approaching, the zulaf of that train, zulafan min al-train, or zulafan min al-sayyara, what is it? It's just the face of it. It's the first part of it. So that's what Quran is talking about. Zulafan is approach. It's first part of the night. It's just right at the beginning of it. In fact, if you go the exact same chapter 11 of the Quran, verse number 81, it's a few verses above the verse that we just discussed. If in the same chapter, a few verses above, there's the story of Lot. When the angels tell Lot to basically فَأَثْرِ بِأَهْلِكَ بِقِطْعٍ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ. So what does it? So set out with your family during, here they have translated as a portion. This is wrong. It says during the end, at the end, last qit'a means at the last part of the night. So at the last part of the night is qit'an min al-layl. So this translation is not correct. That's why I just put. I just want you to know. But what does it? Qit'an من الليل قطع means end, when you're cutting the end of the night. قطعا من الليل. So you should remember what the punishment was, right? So let's read the rest of it. And let not any among you look back except your wife. Then it says, indeed, she will be struck by that which strikes them. Indeed, the appointment is when? In the morning. What is the word Allah uses? إِنَّ مَوْعِدَهُمُ الصُّبْحِ. Then it says, أَلَيْسَ الصُّبْحُ بِقَرِيبٍ. So their appointment is as-subh, or the morning. As-subh or al-fajr, they're the same. Is not the morning or as-subh near? So basically Allah asks Lot to take his family out at the end of the night. بِقِطْعٍ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ. It's the exact same. Now you remember it says زُلَفًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ. This is قِطْعٍ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ. So قِطْعٍ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ is what part of the night? It's the end of the night. So let's say we have the sunset. So sunsets here. And let's say this square shaped thing that I draw represents the night, the length of the night. So night have two parts, just like the now, but it's very small, it's much smaller, it's not like as distinct. The first part is the face of the night. It's when it's approach of the night, just when Isha finishes and night starts. That's Zulafan min al-layl. Zulafan min al-layl. The last part of the night, Quran calls it what? Qit'an min al-layl. Qit'an min al-layl. And this is when Lot took his family out. And as you know, as Lot, so it was not like too long. It's just like the last part, probably like last 10, 15 minutes. He takes his family out of the city. And then as they get out, they look back. Wife's Lot looks back and see the city is being destroyed. So it's the last part of the night. So, and then the night itself, what we call obviously غَثَغَ اللَّيْلِ, or darkness of the night. So the beginning of the night, that's the face of the night. Imagine this is a train. Let's think of this as a train, right? So I'm going to write this. And let's say this train is moving in this direction. So if you are standing here, and if you are a bystander here, this would be the face, Zulafan, approach. So the train is approaching. This is the Zulafan min al-layl. That's what you see here, this part. And this is the back of the train. This is dubur. Quran calls it dubur, also qit'a, end part of the night. So dubur, end part of the night. Let me share with you some other verses about this as well. So chapter number 74, verse number 33 and 34 says, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا أَدْبَرَ. By the night when it turns its back. That is the dubur that I showed you. وَالصُّبْحِ إِذَا أَسْفَرَ. And by the morning when it brightens. So night ends and the morning or subh starts. So when Lot left, it was qit'an min al-layl. It was the last part, end part of the night. Chapter number 81, verses number 17 and 18. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا عَسْعَسَ. Says, by the night as it departs. So that is again, what time is it talking about? You should know it really well. This is talking about qit'an min al-layl. Qit'an min al-layl. So this is that time. And by the night as it departs. And then what happens as soon as the night departs? وَالصُّبْحِ إِذَا تَنَفَّسَ. So morning or dawn or subh or fajr starts. So as you can see, Quran is very specific about this. But to corroborate and to confirm the previous verse, Allah actually gives us another verse, very descriptive, very easy to understand. Of course, you have to take off the layer of dust and nonsense that Satan has basically surrounded these verses with hadith and all these various things. But if you remove that layer, you see that it's extremely clear. And that's chapter number 17, verse number 78, and also 79. So Quran tells us, it says, Aqim as-salah, establish the salah, or stand the salah, leduluke shams, from the duluk shams ila ghasaq al-layl. So this first one is talking about which salah? You should know. It's talking about Salat al-Isha. Duluk shams means from the sun set to darkness of night. It's about an hour 10, an hour 20 to about an hour 30, depending on where you are. And then right after that, it says Quran al-Fajr. And I explained that again, talking about the time of Fajr. So again, it's talking about the exact two salah. It's talking about Salat al-Isha and Salat al-Fajr, as you can see. Now, some people come and say, how do you know Duluk Shams is the sunset? And they have come up with all sorts of nonsense about Duluk, that Duluk means decline, and Duluk doesn't mean any of those. Let me tell you what Duluk means. So, for those of you who have lived in Middle East, those of you who were born there and lived there like myself, we know what Duluk means. In fact, if you go to old baths, they had these old public baths, and actually they still exist in Turkey, in Iran, I'm not sure about other countries, but I know about Iran and Turkey. They still have them. They have these people that they call dallak. So duluk comes from dalaka, is dallak is someone who does duluk. So what does dallak do? Dallak, when you go take a shower, when you go to a public bath, dallak comes and massages you, makes your body soft. So what does duluk mean? Duluk is basically means massage. When something is being massaged, when something is being rubbed. Basically, when you make something soft and malleable by rubbing and massaging, like a dough. You rub it, you massage it, because it starts looking soft and malleable. So that's what duluk is. That's why in old baths over there, you said dallak. It's a very common word. Unfortunately, a lot of these new age teachers or trans, they have never lived there. They don't know. And they come up with all sorts of theories that have no Quranic basis. But dallak, that's what it means. So when you're talking about duluk shams, you're talking about sunset. What happens during sunset? And I'll show you the pictures. During sunset, sun starts looking softened and malleable. You actually see that. It's as if it's melting. Just go out. That's why I ask you. One of the brothers asked me, I'm like, brother, just go outside. We need to look up. We are in a society. It's a very computerized society. But you have to go up, look at the heaven. You're going to see all of it. You're going to understand. But you have to take the time, go out and look at it. So during sunset, sun starts looking very malleable and softened, and as if it's melting. Let me show you some pictures. So look at this. Look at the sun. You see how sun is looking here? It's as if sun has been, you see sun as if it's been like mellowed. You see, when you massage someone, just try it. Grab something that is soft and just kind of try to massage it, and you're going to see how it looks. That's how sun looks. That's the duluk shams. It's like as if a dallak, a massager, has massaged it, has rubbed it, has softened it. So it looks as if it's melting. Look at this one. Again, you're going to see sun is not whole again. Sun is shrinking. Sun is being massaged. That's how it looks, softened. Again, look at here. You can see the same thing. So look at this lady's doing this. And you can see it all the time when you go look at it. Just look at this. The sun is no longer round and perfect shape. Sun starts to look malleable. Again, the same. You're seeing the exact same thing. So this is duluk shams. This is sunset. Duluk shams ila ghasaq al-layl. It's talking about Salat al-Isha, Salat of the time of Isha. So, and again, the same thing here. You can see the same thing. You see how it's no longer as round. You see how it becomes kind of as if it's melting. It just loses its shape. It's very interesting. Allah is so descriptive. Praise and glory to Him. I love Him. I love Him. How could you not love Allah? So descriptive, so precise, but still people just find ways and opportunities to mislead themselves. I don't understand how, but this is how Allah has created us, and this is how Allah tests us. But look at this one. You can see sun is melting. Sun is this duluk shams. It's the shape of the sun. So that's why it's as if it's being massaged. It's being softened. Again, this one, look at it. And then again, you have to go watch the sun from the morning one day in the afternoon, or watch videos of it. You're going to see this. It's so clear. And suddenly sun changes shape. It's as if it's really, I just the best way for me to put it. Maybe someone has a better word to describe it, but it becomes malleable. It just loses its cohesiveness and shape, and it becomes kind of rubbed and pressed. So that's the best thing I can tell you. So this is duluk shams. This is it. There's no all those other things, all those ideas are nonsense, completely nonsense. This is duluk shams, comes from dalaka, dalak. I explained it. Hopefully that makes sense for you as well. Okay, and going back to the same verse 79, it talks about from the night do tahajjud. From the night do tahajjud, and that's another thing. I'm not going to discuss that. Tahajjud requires its own video. It's different than salah. Remember, salah can be 1 minute, not 1 minute. I'm saying 2 minutes, 3 minutes, depending on how fast you do it. But tahajjud is a very long, it's much longer period. Whereas salah is something that is not that long. So I'm going to have another video. We are talking about salah. I'm not talking about tahajjud here. So do you remember what we discussed? I mentioned that first when we started the conversation, and I said it's 3, right? So as you can see, it is 3. Let me show it. So you have 2 sides. You have 2 sides of the day, Salat al-Isha and Salat al-Fajr, morning and evening, and then you have Dhulafan min al-Layl. So that's 3. So what do you see here? Again, you see 2 plus 1, which I want to keep that in mind. Allah uses this a lot in the Quran. So after you get to know it, it becomes very clear to confirm this. So 2 sides of the day, 2, and 1, Zulafan min al-Layl, altogether 3. And then if you remember verse number 46 of chapter 34, what did Allah tells us? At-taqum lillah mathna, 2, wa furada, 1. Again, you have 2 plus 1, 3. I'm not creating a miracle or anything. I'm just merely telling you what Allah is telling us in the Quran. And Allah keeps using this structure. And I'm going to share with you another verse. And that is verse number 14 of chapter 36. So again, does the same thing. Adadna al-tharna ilayhim snain. Snain means 2. And then fakadhabuhuma, they rejected both of them. Fa'azazna bithalis, which is a third 1. So what happened again? Again, 2 plus 1 equals 3. So you can see that this is actually used in the Quran a lot, which is the same again. Tarafi and Nahar, 2 sides of the day, an early part, an approach of the night, 2 plus 1, 3. And in this verse, verse number 78, again the same thing, 1, 2 in this verse, and then you have the third again. So not that it means anything, but it's just kind of like tracing someone and getting to know them. You have to know your creator. So Allah, that's how Allah tells us that this is correct. It's just because you keep seeing that. So hopefully this answered a lot of questions. If you have comments, please leave them. It got a little bit longer, but I will definitely respond. And if I have to make a follow-up video, I will. And hopefully I just want you to understand that duluk shams. That's really important, that you have to understand that duluk shams. It's very clear. It's very, very easy to understand. You just have to look at the heavens. You have to look at the sky. And you have to be able to understand Also طرفي النهار, again, it's very easy. زلفا من الليل is very easy as well. So peace and blessings to all of you, and thank you so much for taking time to watch this. Inshallah, it will benefit you, and inshallah you can say your salah and keep me in your prayers as well. Peace and blessings. Bye.